why are there consistent end of year layoffs, especially for large organizations, especially for publicly traded organizations? There's a pattern. Just before end of fiscal, about 2 months before end of fiscal, there's always layoffs. And then they dread that time and they don't quite understand why that happens. And no one kind of maybe sometimes invests in explaining to them that. And so in the absence of information, they will create their own stories. And often it's about executives protecting their bonuses or something like that, or some politics. And that's definitely a scenario that can play out where, especially mid-sized companies, layoffs in order for the executive to achieve a bonus. But again, there's always multiple reasons, and it's always a little more complex, especially for financials. So let's start with the bonuses. Bonuses definitely one of the reasons. So in order to achieve a specific expense threshold, that is probably part of a bonus structure, not only for the executive. Bonus structures are often set up for executives and departments. So employees get bonuses too. And we don't seem to understand that threshold that we have, that for expenses, for labor expenses, impacts all of their budgets, not just the executive. So do you want to receive less money as part of your bonus? So bonus is more complex, not just executive. The other one is, another common one is to meet an annual budget. So a year ago, they've set a budget. Again, there was significant unknowns or maybe issues or whatever else, but they have to meet the budget. At the end of the year, an executive has very few options in order to significantly reduce expenses in a short period of time. And then, especially for service companies, or often staff are the easiest way to kind of limit, and they're also very easily to calculate. So if I lay off these specific people at this specific level, I know I'm going to be able to save this much money. Whereas other options, they may be sometimes accessible, but not as predictable. So another reason why why employees get laid off at the end of fiscal is just to meet the annual budgets, because it's very difficult to budget. Next one, especially if you're a publicly traded company and your shares are competing on the market with other shares. And of course, those companies provide projections, and not meeting those projections, not meeting those targets has a significant impact on the price of the share, of people going to their competitors to buy other shares. So there's a significant financial impact in not achieving a specific profit ratio, for example, to get that dividend to the investor. And we may be looking at other costs like business continuity, other factors, but you haven't met your prediction, the investor hasn't gotten a dividend, they can move the money somewhere else, that can have a significant financial impact. So another reason why is these shares. And by the way, if you are an employee and also own shares, you probably want that dividend too. Another one that's quite common is actually more strategic. Like, there are strategic shifts that require us to move skill set, to move capabilities from one part of the business to another. As in, I have to de-invest in one part of the business in order to invest in another part of the business. So that's more strategic. And as part of that, because again, I'm doing annual planning every year, so I've just done my annual planning, I've realized I have to reinvest somewhere else. That's why I'm doing my layoffs. I'm going to de-invest from one place, shift the money to the other, more strategic place. And the last one is, some companies use the annual layoff as a way to produce natural attrition or forced attrition, as in to be able to let go of low performers and make space for hiring high performers or better performers. So it's a normal way for them to annually get rid of low performers. They do it every year. Often they have a ratio, 3 to 5%. They have a bell curve, and they said, okay, we always, every year, a way of improving productivity or maintaining productivity is that we always want to go low performers and make space to hire better performers. So, yeah, bonus for all, annual budget, shares and dividends, strategic shifts, and an attrition, hiring better people. That's some of the reasons. There's, again, multiple reasons for end of year layoffs.